Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another video. Another paid request. It's time for Vonte. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for the True Hollywood Story tale of the Twilight Zone trial. And he wanted me to also compare it to the Cursed Films version. This absolutely beats the shit out of the Cursed Films version for a number of reasons. Number one, this is a lot more in-depth in terms of the trial because it's reenactments of the trial itself and what people's testimonies were and their versions of the events that happened. So it's, you don't have that. You have little bits of the trial footage, but it's mostly reenactments. And it's like, this is what the lawyer asked, and this is what John Landis had said. This is what the producers had said. This is what the secretary, the pilot, firemen, part of safety. You get each of their recollections of what happened that night. And in the Cursed Films, they show the full footage, which I did not need to see. Here they show a little bit, but they cut off at the right moment, which I thought was much more respectable. Granted, they also did that because it was True Hollywood Story, because it was on the channel E. For those who don't even know, True Hollywood Story was this, what to call it? It's a TV. It was a TV program back in the day that would give stories about scandals or tragedies of Tinseltown, things of that nature. And like I said, this kissed the shit out of Cursed Films version easily. Same with the Poltergeist one. This is much better than the Cursed Films Poltergeist one. Much more in-depth, much more information. And for those who don't even know what happened was there was Twilight Zone the movie, the anthology, to be directed by John Landis, Steven Spielberg, George Miller, who did The Road Warrior, and Joe Dante, who had done Gremlins. But I think by that point he had done Piranha and The Howling. Gremlins would be afterward. So each one would do a story. It would be an anthology, 4 stories. John Landis would be the first one. And he had the story of Vic Morrow, who plays this bigot, who's very racist on various folks. And throughout the Twilight Zone, he then gets placed into, through the eyes of a black person, through the eyes of another person, and ultimately through the eyes of a Vietnamese during Vietnam. It would culminate with him, this bigot, saving 2 Vietnamese children amongst the army, U.S. military, blowing up this village with helicopter and stuff. But they had Vic Morrow and the 2 kids there. They set up the charges. They fucked up. The helicopter got in the turn spin, crashed, decapitated Vic Morrow and 1 kid, and the other kid got crushed. And as it says here, they get the info right. 1 year after involuntary manslaughter case, 4 years later there was a trial. The trial went on for about 9 months. September 1986, the trial finally started. Just as a thing, that was what, 82, the movie? But they were probably filming sometime maybe 81 or 82. And that's the thing, I like the more details they have in this. And a lot of it is a reenactment of the trial itself. So they do ask some of the real people, they do ask the real lawyers, both the defense and prosecution. They do ask 1 juror, which this guy pissed me off, and I'll get to that in a minute. But again, there's a lot more details about what happened. About 11:30, put on notice there's a volatile situation. 3 hours later, after 2 rehearsals, at 2:20 a.m. there were explosions. And at first we see it done in diagrams about what transpired. There were 5 defendants, John Landis and 4 others. If they were guilty, which would be involuntary manslaughter as well as negligence, they could face up to 12 years in jail. And honestly, I have no idea after watching this stuff how the fuck these people did not go to jail. To me, that's why the juror pissed me off. The juror's like, well, blah, 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 and I don't think we made the wrong decision. This guy was a fucking idiot. I don't know if he got paid off or what the hell the deal was. Or he said, oh, John Landis, I like Animal House. I don't know what it was, but with the way it was done, these guys should have been in jail. Because you see the trial as it goes on, at least the reenactments. The two kids they hired without permits. They hired without permits because they knew they'd be in a sticky situation with explosives and danger, and so they wanted to hire kids out of the studio system. The secretary to the producer, the defense for John Landis and them said, well, it wasn't these guys, it was the effects guy, James Chamomile. He set the charges too early because he didn't pay attention to the chopper, he paid attention to his cue. The defense was also saying, well, no, they didn't think it was dangerous. Because look, if the helicopter tilted the other way, it would have killed John Landis. Yeah, so they were negligent, as in gross negligent. That is a case to be made there as well. That's why they should have, at the very least, went to jail for gross negligence. Well, yeah, I mean, I could go on the other side of the road and do this and this, but, I'm being negligent, but oh well. Sorry, the car crashed and killed, 3 people. I didn't think it'd be dangerous because it was just making, I was passing. I have the right to pass if, there's certain things on the road. Oh well, I was negligent, oh well. No, because they had fucking money and studios, or studios didn't want to look bad, something, big fucking money bags. I wish they had brought up more about like Steven Spielberg. Well, I guess he had nothing to do with it. Like, he's part of the project, but I know after this, apparently, Steven Spielberg broke his ties with John Landis and said, "I'm not friends with you anymore," which I don't blame him for doing. I just why that wouldn't really be pertinent to the trial. But yeah, the secretary to the producers talking about how she had heard that she was the secretary to the big producer on the movie, that they were under orders not to release the script, and she didn't understand why, and that they wanted to hire outside the studio system. And John Landis apparently overheard that, yeah, we're all going to go to jail. Because John Landis and them wanted to do this big action sequence with 2 kids, and they figured they would get told no, or get shut down. And I know they don't mention this, but for those who don't know, John Landis was a fucking cocaine head. He was a coked up guy. Many people who worked with him said he was a prick. And throughout multiple testimonies, people kept talking about how they were intimidated by the guy. And so when John Landis went up the stand, the lawyer said it best. In order to believe Landis' testimony, you would have to disbelieve the testimony of 21 others. So apparently those 21 others were lying. But John Landis is telling the truth. So the defense, they went on to try to discredit her. Oh, Landis never said that they're all going to jail. You're lying about it, this and that. There's talks that apparently the associate producer gave parents of the kids envelope of money before the accident. Probably to be a bit hush-hush. The father went up there and he says that he didn't know they were going to use explosives because there was rehearsals where they were not doing explosives. I like this lead investigator guy. I wish we heard more of him. He said whatever these producer directors say is bullshit. It was definitely a dangerous situation, and he disagreed with the verdict as well. He said they should have gotten something out of it. They have the second assistant director who had concerns. He said that on set they were supposed to refer to the kids as Vietnamese and not kids, so they wouldn't get found out and shut down. They had the firefighter on the stand, supposed to be like the chief safety guy, that apparently he didn't know, wasn't told that there were kids on the premises, that there were kids in danger, and it was like led to believe that he was being kind of led away, and that he heard John Landis say, "Well, when the fuck can we start?" And that the kids were not on the call sheets. And then John Landis went on the stand and said, "Yes, I will admit we broke the law, the child labor law. I understand, but blah 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 blah, and no, we did not know." Yeah, you didn't know because you're probably coked out of your fucking mind, Landis. And these other people were cocky because they thought, well, it's a movie, it's fantasy, nothing bad would happen because it's fucking fantasy. And yeah, I know it's dark lighting, but it fits with this dark fucking story. You're a cocky, John Landis, and your associates were cocky, thinking it's a movie. So, like the movie, nothing will happen. We'll just have a take two. Except these three people are dead. There ain't no take two. You guys were cocky. You thought John Landis did the Blues Brothers with all these car crashes, that any number of things could have gone wrong, but it didn't. And you had the American Wolf in London with the effects. You had the Animal House. You had this crazy shit with Belushi and handling him. You thought you were the bee's knees. Your films were being successful. You're up for bigger and better things. You got cocky. And then it doesn't help with the... I mean, they don't mention it, but if you look at... You read a bit more into it. He was a fucking cokehead. I'm like, I don't want your autograph. I don't want to look in your face. I would just tell you to go fuck yourself and curse you out. You should have gone to jail. I'll give you my autograph. Here it is. I think he was a cocky motherfucker. When you see enough of these, even though, yeah, the reenactments based on the written, there's someone up there is a stenographer, the person that types everything that people say. So it's based on that info. All these people talk about, John Landis, when the fuck do we start? And I think the other people, I think they were right in what they said. The defense, because it's lawyers, because it's Hollywood, and they get away with shit. Look at Roman Polanski. Look how much Hollywood got, let Roman Polanski get away with shit, where he did this stuff back in the day. Oh, it doesn't matter because he made some movies that people liked. Victor Salva got less jail time than fucking Wesley Snipes for taxes. Wesley Snipes got more jail time for tax evasion. But there's video proof of Victor Salva messing in a sad, bad, sexual way with a kid. Video evidence. He got less jail time because Francis Ford Coppola helped him out, among other people. Because Francis Ford Coppola was his company, and he was the tutor or whatever that Victor Salva learned and directed, what the fuck it was. Don't believe me, look it up. And as I said, they asked John, you hear testimony of what John Landis has said and what the other people had said. And I'm listening to all this, I'm like, this clearly showcases that they were negligent, that they fucked up. But like the second assistant director, he had concerns, but then the defense says, well, you could have gone to the police, you could have said this and that. So you didn't truly think it was a danger, did you? Just like these guys didn't. Because it was an accident. Because they were cocky and they were coked up and shit, but the two kids should not have been there in the first place. But they chalked it up to an accident. They can say this many times after the fact. Oh yeah, they had safety, this and that. Yeah, because you don't want to go to jail for up to 12 years, so you'll say whatever the fuck you want. But I would say if you're able to see this, it's definitely worth a look. It's very interesting to hear the testimony. It just made me hate John Landis even more. I mean, filming wise, again, the reenactments, they were fine enough in terms of acting, I guess. The interviews, I liked the female lawyer who was the prosecutor. The defense lawyers, I think they were just full of shit. You could tell that they had like, our shit don't stink attitude. The juror pissed me off. The juror seemed like he was deer in the headlights the whole time. Oh my god, it's a big case in Hollywood. Da, da, da. Anytime that juror popped up, I'm like, shut up, dude. You're full of shit. I always say to his face, he's full of shit. Like I said, this dealt a lot more into the details. The helicopter pilot. How they had done one trial and there was a lot of heat. And one guy said that the pilot kept saying, I didn't know they do that. I didn't know they do that. I didn't know they do that. And he felt burned up. So there was already a danger beforehand. So that's why you need to shut shit down. But they didn't. I mean, so many people, whether it be the fire, the second assistant, second assistant director, the secretary, the firefighter, the kind of guy was supposed to be there for protection, the kids not being on the call sheets, the subterfuge of that, the lead investigator even saying, I disagree with the verdict, they should have been in jail. Like, so many people, it's like, it was a sham the way they got away with it. I still don't understand how they got away without being in jail. Still confusing to me. But I mean, the way True Hollywood does, like I said, they really go into the details. As much of a fine-tooth comb as I'm sure they could have at the time. They do show a little bit of the trial footage. Like, there's a bit where when the reading whether what do you call it, when they read guilty or not guilty. Apparently, like, Dan Aykroyd was in the audience, like in the courtroom, and the what's his name? I think the guy that was in Chill the Corn, Melinda Peter Horton. I think he was there as well. I don't know. Maybe he knew John Landis. I know Eddie Murphy wasn't, which apparently John Landis was pissed, and Eddie Murphy's like, "Fuck you," and your ass was grass, and I got you a job, and blah blah blah. So that'd been funny if you got Eddie Murphy to be interviewed and just talk shit about John Landis. But yeah, easily better than Curse films. A lot more detail. Curse films was more about, I think they went back to the location, which really didn't showcase anything, and I don't know. I mean, maybe Curse films has a bit more of a filmmaking technique. Well, this is much more down and dirty of reenactments of the trial, interviews, reenactments, so it's not as cinematic. I guess if you want more of a cinematic take than Curse films, but if you want more of a give more information, more detail, easily the True Hollywood Story is the better bet. That's the way I looked at it. But yeah, it was something that never should have happened. Those kids should have never been on set. The parents, you should have looked a lot more into detail. I gotta put some of the blame on them because they should have looked into a lot more fucking detail as to what was going on. As soon as I saw explosions, I would have walked in, fuck, cut it, you can fire my ass. My kids are not out there. If If they didn't know about the explosions, they should have asked more. If they did know, then assume they should, no, fuck this shit. I'm going out there. We're going home. Fuck you. You sue me. You didn't know about this. And these other people should have been in jail as well. In my opinion, in my thought process, with the way this abhorrent situation happened. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.